Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Downey. We know the head coach of the Cowboys, that's Mike McCarthy. We know the defensive coordinator, that's Mike Nolan. We don't know who the offensive coordinator will be, so let's run through the top 8 candidates to fill that role under Mike McCarthy with the Dallas Cowboys. At number 8, a name we've mentioned several years ago, actually. That's Alex Van Pelt, who is right now the quarterback's coach with the Cincinnati Bengals, and there is a heavy emphasis throughout this list on coaches who have worked with Mike McCarthy, because that's how most coaches fill their staff. And Aaron Rodgers, by the way, was rather high on one Alex Van Pelt. He was the RB's coach in Green Bay from 2012 to 2013, then took over as the quarterback's coach in 2014 through 2017. But he's only number 8 because he is still under contract with the Bengals. The NFL's weird. If you're under contract, going from a position coach to a coordinator, that's actually not an upgrade, and the teams would still need permission to interview them. The Bengals might simply choose to block it. Number 7 on this list is Joe Philbin, who had 2 different stints with Mike McCarthy in Green Bay. The first as coordinator from 2007 to 2011. Then in 2018 when he was the offensive coordinator and the interim head coach when Mike McCarthy was fired by Green Bay. Now he's going to turn 59 this year. He did not coach last year. And I think it's fair to wonder or have doubts or whatever word you want to use there. Do you really want to go with the offensive coordinator who was fired, who was OC when McCarthy was fired? Is going back to the well for McCarthy a sign that he has changed? I think it's a fair question, although at least it's changed in some form for the Dallas Cowboys potentially. The offensive coordinators, the track record of the past 10 plus years, it's been iffy. Jason Garrett, Bill Callahan, who was a great O-line coach, but didn't get along all that well with Garrett, Linehan, and then most recently, Kellen Moore. So we still got 6 more names to go through, but I want to hear from you guys. Who do you want as the next Cowboys offensive coordinator? Maybe not as important as DC. We'll break down those reasons why as well. But if you're watching on YouTube, you might get an ad break here. So while that's playing, scroll down to the pinned comment. I've got the question for you there. You can reply there for me. Number 6 is Edgar Bennett, and this is a name I think some of you are familiar with. He coached with McCarthy for a long time, was for a while one of McCarthy's right-hand men. He was also the OC, not just he had a variety of roles, running backs coach among them, but he's currently with the Oakland Raiders where he is the team's wide receivers coach. We made this note with Alex Van Pelt. I'll make it again. Bennett might not be as likely to join up with McCarthy because he is under contract. The Cowboys would need permission to interview him for any job. However, maybe the Raiders grant that, maybe they don't. I would think that maybe they're not going to go that route. That's why he only checks in at number 6 on notes. But if you can get him, maybe even for a running back's role, which feels a bit unlikely, could be an option. Number 5, Kevin O'Connell, who for now is listed as the Redskins Offensive Coordinator. They seem to be moving closer to getting Scott Turner in. They've also allowed O'Connell to interview for other jobs. So a coach who was really not going to make this list until today suddenly finds his way inside the top 5. He's been with the Redskins since 2017, is viewed as of course, he is a former NFL quarterback, only 1 year as the OC, and is viewed as an up-and-comer. Sounds kind of familiar to somebody already on this staff, doesn't it? And for O'Connell, if he wants to advance his career, is going to Dallas and working under Mike McCarthy, where, and we'll make this point a lot later on, stay tuned for it, he wouldn't call the plays. Is that really the route that O'Connell wants to go? I think it's a fair question. Now, if it's your first time watching the show, welcome into the Cowboys Report. We do more than just these videos here. We're also going to have the Mike McCarthy press conference for you guys. Hear what McCarthy has to say. We'll do some other Q&A and stuff around that press conference as well. So if you love the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to love the Cowboys Report. Hit that big red button. We're the most watched Cowboys YouTube channel out there. Join the ever-growing community. Number 4 is Jon Kitna. Now, I don't know if this is the route that Mike McCarthy will go, but I really want to keep Jon Kitna on this staff. And since McCarthy's going to call the plays, the OC position isn't as important. you can go with someone maybe you're looking to develop a little bit more or just want to keep on staff. I think Kitna did a really good job this year with Dak Prescott, with his mechanics, with the much joked about / mentioned heavy socks that Kitna prefers and Dak Prescott uses now. He's never worked with McCarthy before. That is a big red flag. Only 1 year as an NFL head coach, but I want to keep Kitna on the staff. If that means you have to make him your offensive coordinator, I'm fine with that. So which offensive coaches do you want to keep? We talked about defense, Mike Nolan coming in. Who knows if anybody actually stays? But on the offensive side of the ball, who do you want? I am very curious to see which route the Cowboys will end up going there. If I said head coach for Jon Kitna, I'm sorry, that was a mistake on my part. Of course, he's an assistant coach just for added clarity there. But let me know in the comments which offensive coach you want or coaches you want the Cowboys to keep. Many of you have mentioned this name for me before. That's number 3, Pat Shurmur. Interesting idea. Maybe not the route I'd go, but I think it's worth discussing. Now, he was fired by the Giants after 2 seasons. We know why. That wasn't a great success there for Shurmur. And he has no ties to Mike McCarthy, but if you do want an experienced option to at least offer some input for McCarthy, help with the game planning, well, there aren't very many other ones out there that are actually available and not under contract right now. And Shurmur was a good offensive coordinator. That's why he got 2 different head coaching jobs. He was the Rams OC all the way back in 2009 and 2010. Had a failed stint as the Browns head coach. He actually put the same record up that he did with the Giants, which is kind of funny for me. He was also the Vikings coordinator, where I think he kind of really rehabbed his stock, and the Eagles coordinator. He's more of an Andy Reid guy more so than a true Mike McCarthy guy. But I think he could make sense. Might be some other options that make more sense, though, for the Dallas Cowboys. I've got a deal alert for you guys, I should say. Head over to chatsports.com/Cowboys jersey. There are jerseys under $100 right now. You got Amari Cooper jerseys, Dak Prescott jerseys, even some Zeke jerseys are under $100 right now. And these, by the way, of course, are the official NFL jerseys. These are not the cheap knockoffs that will fall apart within 5 months. No, these are official NFL jerseys. Go check them out. You can find some even significantly below 100 as well if you're looking for the right player. It's chatsports.com/Cowboys jersey. Check the description. Check the comments. I've got that for you guys. Number 2 is Ben McAdoo, and it's kind of gross, right? It's maybe not the best idea. It's not the one I would want to go with. But on the bright side, he's not going to call the plays. But McAdoo, I would not be surprised at all if in some capacity he ends up on the Mike McCarthy staff because he's a former Mike McCarthy assistant. He was with him from 2004 to 2013. He was there for a very long time. Now, those early years, he was almost like an assistant to the coach, but still, that's a role, and he has earned Mike McCarthy's trust. Now, he hasn't coached since he was fired by the New York Giants in 2017, and maybe a big red flag on this front is that he also kind of went scorched earth on the NFC East and the Giants on his way out, or said that the Cowboys players were always in trouble, which, I mean, isn't technically wrong, so can't blame too much that one. Also ripped some of the coaches and other NFC East teams. But beyond the Giants OC, Packers quarterbacks coach, Packers tight ends coach, some O-line coach. If you lose Kitna, which I don't want to do, maybe watch out for McAdoo. And he could also make sense as a non-play calling OC if you lose the number 1 candidate on this list. That is current Cowboys coordinator Kellen Moore. Now, Mike McCarthy does want him to stay with the Dallas Cowboys. That's not a huge surprise. In fact, we'll break down this more in depth in a second. I don't think it's a coincidence that when Mike McCarthy was doing his media tours, he was talking about the Dallas Cowboys and play calls he liked from Kellen Moore. I don't think that's an accident whatsoever. However, Moore has an offer right now from the Washington Huskies, where one of his longtime mentors and former coach when he was a player, Chris Peterson, left, and Jimmy Lake is now the head coach. There's a connection there. The Huskies want him, so does Kellen Moore. It's a tough choice for him. Does he want to stay as a non-play calling OC and continue to learn, or does he want to make the jump to college, where he could be a head coach in a couple of years in all seriousness, and be a play caller for the Huskies down there? I liked his designs. I thought there were still some rawness as a play caller in terms of when to call the right plays. But I've seen some people saying, no, I don't want Kellen Moore to stay. Why wouldn't you? The offense was better. Across the board, the offense the Dallas Cowboys ran in 2019 was better in terms of efficiency and volume. Here are the numbers. Points per game. You were a full 6 points, almost 6 points better than you were under Scott Linehan. The yards per game was nearly 100 better. You averaged almost a full yard more per pass attempt. And your yards per carry, which we, of course, maybe didn't have the best run offense last year, still 0.3 better. You had one more turnover. You can blame it on the Hail Mary pass that got intercepted, or one of the Hail Mary passes that got intercepted. The offense is better under Kellen Moore. I like the play designs, and I know that Mike McCarthy did as well. And McCarthy did make a big deal out of this. Here's the play that he mentioned, and I think it was a Sports Illustrated, or no, it wasn't. It was the Peter King interview, where he was talking about a particular RPO play by the Dallas Cowboys and how much he loved the design that Kellen Moore utilized. Here it is, and we'll slow it down as well for you guys. It's a simple RPO. You have the offensive line run blocking. Dak reads the secondary. Amari Cooper's wide open. It's an easy pitch and catch for 9 yards. You could have run it and still picked up yards. I think that's why McCarthy liked it so much. I want to see more of those designs. That's why I want to keep Kellen Moore in town. I want to have Kellen Moore have some input on the Mike McCarthy coach on the play designs. I fully expect McCarthy will call the plays for the Dallas Cowboys, but I still want Kellen Moore to give some input onto, hey, what if we did this design? I think Kellen Moore has good designs. I would hope then that the Cowboys choose to keep Kellen Moore in that capacity. So you guys let me know in the comments section if you want Kellen Moore to stay. I do. So I am typing in my why for yes. If you disagree, I'd love to hear some reasons, but he's not going to be the play caller. Why not let him learn under Mike McCarthy? I think it's a great idea. Now, today's show is also brought to you by BetDSI. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. You put down $50, they're just going to give you an extra $60 for free. That means you can bet on the NFL playoffs. March Madness still a little bit away, but you can bet on that. You can bet on any sporting event out there. It's chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Cowboys120. Of course, those were the candidate lists, but I really want to make this point clear. That's why I'm saving it for last. The OC job is nowhere as important for the Dallas Cowboys as it was last year or as the DC job will be in 2020. Mike McCarthy comes in as the Cowboys head coach. He's going to call the plays. He's made that clear in the past. He briefly gave it up and was like, I'm not going to do that ever again. You've hired him to help run your offense. He is going to be your play caller. I expect it to be the same as it was in Green Bay as it is here in Dallas. Now, you do still want some adjustments from Mike McCarthy, but the offenses were pretty good. Now, he does throw it more, and that kind of makes sense, right? Because you had Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. You can look at his pass rates from his last 5 years with the Green Bay Packers. 2018, kind of an asterisk there because he was only there for half the year. They weren't as good. They threw it more. That's the nature of it. 2015, 2014, maybe that's kind of what you're hoping for a little bit more in terms of the offensive efficiency and production. The run rates, meanwhile, were certainly near the bottom of the NFL, especially in 2018, 2017, and 2016. But I'll just say this. It's 2020, guys. The NFL has changed. The way the teams operate have changed. If your biggest concern about a coach is that, well, gee, they throw it a lot early in games, I think you'll be okay. I think you'll be in good shape there if that is what your offense looks like. I do have other concerns. You don't, of course, want to ignore Zeke. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying you should. But I would like to use Zeke as a closer. You can make him a multiple inning closer if you don't mind me crossing over my sports analogies here. But I don't want to use Zeke for the first 3 innings and have him give him 35 carries a game. No, I want to use him and make him more efficient. Now, Mike McCarthy, way back when he was the Saints offensive coordinator, he ran Ricky Williams a lot. I think he'll still do that. It's going to be a West Coast offense. I want to see more play action. I want to believe McCarthy when he says he will use more RPOs and use more motion. He has acknowledged he got away from that, especially on the motion side. We saw motion from Kellen Moore and RPOs from Kellen Moore. That's why I want those two to stick together and learn, frankly, from each other. McCarthy with more of the when to call plays, and then Kellen Moore with more of the design elements. So are you on board with McCarthy calling the plays? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. I assume these are mostly ones. For the most part, based on polls we've done on the channel, most of you are on board with the higher. Therefore, I figure you're on board with him calling the plays. And one more note, by the way, while you guys are typing in your answers, Mike McCarthy loves to go up-tempo and run no huddle. I really hope that stays with the Dallas Cowboys. I think that would fit Dak Prescott really, really well. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.